Good evening and welcome to the North Rose-Wolcott Board of Education meeting tonight. We will open tonight's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first order of business is to approve tonight's agenda. A motion, please, to approve the agenda. John and Travis, discussion. I would like to add a green sheet to the agenda tonight. Could I have a motion, please, to add the green sheet? Tina and Leslie? Any discussion on that motion? All in favor of adding the green sheet? Motion is carried. Is there any other discussion for approving the agenda?
Do we get the green sheet? We don't all have it.
We don't have to.
You'll get it.
Okay.
No.
I'll wait for you to get your green sheets. Does anyone have an issue with we've approved the green sheet, but I will ask, is there an issue? Anyone have an issue with adding it now that you've seen it? All right, then we'll keep it in. Motion is on the floor to approve tonight's agenda. Any more discussion? Then all in favor of approving the agenda? Motion is carried. At this time, the board needs to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment history of specific employees. A motion, please, to go into executive session. Linda and Casey. Any discussion? All in favor of going into executive session? Motion is carried. We'll be leaving you. We'll be back very shortly.
That's timely and relevant as we dig into our district comprehensive improvement plan and our school improvement plans. You know that the buildings will start presenting to the Board of Education in October with the school improvement plan. So we felt like it'd be wise to share some data with you and kind of go over some of the progression that we've seen over the last few years. So the intent is to start with that and then kind of speak to any questions or comments or concerns you may have with respect to the data.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So what we're going to go through tonight is that EduTech has released a new system actually to help us look at state data. So I'm going to take you through some of those screens and explain what we're able to look at within that system. Again, always starting with our mission and vision in mind for our students. So this new data dashboard, like I said, EduTech created it. It only has 4 pages, but it's very interactive. So you can choose what state test you want to look at. You can look at how we did compared to everyone across the region. You can just specify Wayne County schools to see how we did compared to them. And then there's a really nice piece where it shows just our district and how our scores have changed throughout the years. So I'll take you through some of those. All right, so an example that I have up here, does this have a pointer? Yes, oh, it doesn't work. You can see that it's looking at the Regents living environment exam, and what this is showing along the bottom is all the districts that fall into our region. The blue line is students who scored a 65 to 100. And the orange is 0 to 65. So as you can see, this gives us a really an easier way to look at how we're doing compared to other districts. The other way that we use this is we look to see what districts in the area are really performing better than us, and looking at their demographics and which districts are similar, working with those districts to find out what are they doing that's working for their students that we're not, and going and visiting their classrooms so that we can understand what they might be doing differently. So that's like the first sample, and then where the drop down button is, you can look at every different Regents exam results in that. So the next is looking at our year-to-year Regents. So on this, it is just our school district. It has all the different regions that are offered across the bottom. And what you'll see is that the light blue is the 21-22 school year. The dark blue is the 22-23 school year. The orange is 23-24, and purple is 24-25. So you can look and see each year that the test has been given, how our students have performed on that. So for instance, if you look at the Regents Common Core Algebra 2, you can see that each year it has improved. Areas where we're seeing that they have gotten less proficient, we look at that and say, what standards are students missing? How can we figure out how to teach this better next year to include those things that we had a lot of students miss? So the next, again, is looking at the whole region. This is a dashboard page for grade 3 ELA. So again, I can do a pull down when I'm in the system, and I can look at any grade 3 through 8. I can look at ELA, math, and science to see how we did compared to other districts within the region. Again, we look at this and we see other districts around us that have the same demographics or similar, and we might look to them and say, okay, what are you doing differently than we are? Because we want to see some improvement there. And so this shows our 3 through 8 ELA exams, and this goes year by year, like the Regents one did a couple of slides ago. So for instance, you'll see it's 22, 23, 24, 25, each line. And you can see for each grade along the bottom, it goes grade 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for ELA. And you can see how each grade level scored each year. Now, these are not looking at the same kids year to year. That's a cohort that we'll look at in a minute. But this is actually kids who were in grade 3 in 22, and then the next group that came in 23 that were third grade. So 4 different teachings at the same grade level. This really helps us to see how did we teach? Do we have standards that we really missed and we need to go back and look? And we've had a relatively positive trend. And then again, this is the same type of chart, but to look at our 3 through 8 math. As you can see, we're making some gains, but again, not at all where we want to be, as we've talked about in the past. So we wanted to look at a couple of cohorts that we've had testing for since COVID. So looking at the class of 2030, those students are students who are in 8th grade right now. And so it would be blue is when they were in 5th grade, red is the same kids in 6th grade, yellow is the same kids in 7th grade, and now 8th grade. And so this is how they did through their years. Actually, it would be 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, because they're in 8th now for the class of 2030. So this is for ELA and how they scored in each of those years. Same kids, we're looking at how they're doing across the time. And then class of 2029 is 9th grade right now. So they're actually 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and you can see their growth they're making. We have math as well for that, those same 2 cohorts, where we can look and see the same kids are making the growth each year. Again, we want it to be higher, but it is a positive trend that we're moving in. And then our science proficiency rates. So this is just a comparison of last year to this year, because now we have grade 5 tests. It used to be grade 4. So last year, 2 years ago actually, you can see in the green, and then last year in the gray, to show that we're improving. But again, we have a lot of improvement to make in that area as well. So that was just a quick overview. We can dive into those charts more at some time if you want to. I know it's hard to see when it's up here because there's a lot of small words, but anything you have questions about or anything you'd like to see more of, I can definitely provide that.
Just wanted to say it's good to know that we are in a position where more comparing apples to apples by looking at demographics too, rather than just across the board. That's good.
We found that other districts around too have been really receptive to have our teachers come and visit them, and some have even come out and visited us for our stronger areas, so it's a nice partnership. Thank you.
So moving on with our presentations, I just want to give a quick update because I was surprised that at the beginning of the year, this didn't come up when we did our updates with our liaisons. So the internet-enabled devices was a law that was passed from the governor, handed down to school districts. We had a group look at it last year. We had a Board of Education adopt a policy. So this screen in front of you is actually a summary of what the policy is. It just shows the demographic. You might see this graphic up in several of the buildings. It's something that is pervasive throughout the buildings. The 3 buildings have collaborated and they've worked with Megan and some of the policy committee members, I believe last spring, to put this into action. So really at the elementary level, the teachers got this the first day they came back, August 27th. They walked through the particulars of what this actually entailed, because I think most people attribute this to the cell phone, but it's also their smartwatches, their smartphones, their tablets, just about anything that's Wi-Fi accessible, the ban covers. At the elementary level, it's pretty cut and dry. You come in, if you have a cell phone, it goes in your locker, you put it away. There have been 0 cell phone incidents to date at the elementary level. They're working more on parking passes for the children down there because of the drivers. So the middle school, it's really something where, again, very similar, consistent language. This is something the middle school put out with respect to a communication home, highlighting the approach to the law, what our policy was, and then communication and the protocols typical of what school used to be. If you need to reach your child for any reason, you call the main office. The main office will go get your child and then come back. To date, that's worked out very well. As you would expect, the middle school and high school, it's a little bit more involved because they've had the cell phones a little bit longer on their person. So you went through town hall meetings where the administrators covered the consequences and the flow chart for it. So just like with anything else, there's a verbal warning, and then we follow the progressive discipline. There's a 2-week phone agreement if you're caught with multiple cell phone violations. The one part that I think it's important to bring to people's attention is there cannot be a suspension for the cell phone violation as part of the law. The suspension usually comes in the form of insubordination for not complying with the adult request to put the device away. So the middle school has had this approach for a few years now. I think the high schools had something similar, not quite as extensive as the middle schools over the last couple of years, but you can see they mimic each other. The protocols right there are pretty much the same, and I think you'll look at it from that standpoint. Excuse me, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. They're very consistent. So if I'm a middle school student, I have a high school sibling, I'm not being treated differently than my high school sibling. The ban really is for the instructional day. The materials are pretty consistent. The agreements are pretty consistent. Here are the reminders that went out to the middle school families to talk about how to store them, where to put them. We don't want to get into the cell phone storage business, the tablet storage business. We have lockers in each of the buildings. Those things seem to be very effective with housing that. Again, very consistent across the board. This is what a contract calls into question, and it's not really a legally binding agreement, but typically it involves the parent and the school having a communication and really trying to curb the behavior and could get on the same page. So at the middle school, I believe they've had 2 cell phone contracts right now with parent involvements to date. And at the high school, I believe that there have been 12 incidents with the cell phone devices. But again, each of the 3 buildings went through this and talked about the protocols that they should take, and then what the process would look like and how it impacts each of them with respect to the academic day. The consequences spelled out there in front of you, and then, what do you need to do? Very similar to what the middle school experienced. The one part that I will say that we're very pleased to see is that the students have been pretty compliant. It hasn't been that big of an issue, and that there's been an uptick in face-to-face communication, and that there's been healthy dialogue with students back and forth at lunch and conversing and even playing some board games. So in total, like I said before, I would love for social media to be banned right along with these devices. But just like with any behavior, from time to time, we need reminders. Questions, comments? Okay, thank you. And then lastly, some exciting news from the 23 project. We've run into a few delays, as I've communicated with the board and the community. with respect to actually breaking ground. I'm pleased to say that the foundation for the new playground and the playground surface have started this week. So if you were to go down there right now, our site contractor is in pretty good shape with respect to the poured-in playground surface, which will be the rubber matting for the accessibility compliant. It's something where, local contractor, the new playground equipment's over there, and then we anticipate with some of the actual construction that the pre-abatement work will begin as early as next week in the elementary building. And then I hope to share a construction schedule with you and the community in the next couple of weeks once we have our last contractor secured. People have asked whether the project was actually happening. I will tell you from past experience with the 2017 project, I won't move forward until we know belts and suspenders rather, that our plan is tight and that we're accounting for all the money that we have budgeted for. The state has asked us to make some modifications to the elementary design, which was one of the reasons for the delay. We understand their position and we agree with their position, but we're not going to be shovel ready until we knew exactly how much things were going to cost us. We have those answers now. That's why the work started this week. So we do anticipate going out to the community with another capital project vote probably as early as December. I'll update you and the community on that in my next superintendent's update in October to show you the transportation facility and the fact that we have a dire need with respect to replacing that facility, and then see if we can finish the high school and elementary, because I believe our students deserve that. But the playground should be exciting, and before the weather gets bad, they should have new apparatus out there. Okay? Thank you.
Great, thank you. We come now to the time of public access to the board. Melanie, anyone want to speak to the board tonight? Yes. Thank you. As always, prior to public access, I do review public access to the board. Public participation is a time that the board has set aside to hear from residents of the district to express viewpoints related to the district. Bylaw 1510, regular board meetings and rules and public participation, establishes the rules for this public access. And if you have signed up to speak, it is expected that you have read the policy and are committing to adhere to the policy rules. I remind you that the board does not hear personal complaints against any persons connected to the school system in public session, nor are any forms of prejudice, obscene language, libelous statements, or threats of violence tolerated. Public access is a time for the board to hear what residents have to say, but members will not respond in any way. Speakers are each allowed 3 minutes and need to come to conclusion when advised that their 3 minutes have ended. And per our policy, I just want to reiterate from the policy, speakers may offer objective comments of school operations and programs. However, the board will not hear in public session personal complaints of school district personnel, nor complaints against any person connected with the school system. Such complaints are to be addressed first through proper administrative channels. Only in those cases where satisfactory adjustment cannot be made by the superintendent's office should complaints be submitted in writing to the board. So with that in mind, our first person who is asked to speak is Dennis Brooks, who's going to speak about boys varsity. Yes, come right up here, please. Melanie, is it on? Your timing.
Hello. Many of you on the board know me. For those who don't, my name's Dennis Brooks. Most of you know me as Denny. I'm here as a general concern of the way the district is heading, not just academically, but with sports. It's in the community. The community knows about what's going on. I don't have a child that plays varsity soccer or JV soccer or even modified soccer, but we in the community have heard of what's going on. And I just want to know when the school made it so that a coach cannot discipline a student. Coach Twisp-Blair spent years and years of his time with these kids, taking them to indoors.
Be careful now.
So-
Please
coach.
don't use people's
Sorry.
names.
The coach has spent countless, not just with this age group, with the younger age group and the older age group. And I think the fact that you guys put him in place, you should back his play. You need to be behind your coach. We have a code of conduct for students for a reason, and student athletes furthermore. I was a student athlete here. We followed the code of conduct. When you didn't, you were held accountable for your actions. Are you going to hold people accountable for their actions? Or are we just going to go into turmoil? Because the way that this is heading, I have young kids coming up. I don't like the way this looks. That is my general concern. I don't know if you feel that it is a general conflict of interest to have people coaching who are sitting board members. All other school districts have that in there, most for Wayne County, that sitting board members cannot coach. Voluntary or,
About specific people.
I'm not saying names, I'm just saying in general.
About a specific person.
But I'm saying in general.
Yeah.
I just feel that we stand behind our coach and his decisions and what he did. And as parents, we are not to go up and press that coach about it. He makes rules and he makes kids follow the rules, and people have to follow the rules. That's why we have the code of conduct. So I ask you to look at that code of conduct and then look at everything else, because it's not right. And I would feel that I had to come up and say something because I don't have any skin in the game. And you need that outside view from parents who are looking out and then looking in at it from an outside point of view. And I just feel that you guys need to take the time to actually speak about it. And I will be coming to talk to you here soon. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. We also have Marcus Hafner, who's asked to speak.
Hello. I just want to preface this by saying that I don't intend to be confrontational in any way. I'm just here to represent the boys varsity soccer team, and they asked me to speak, and we kind of discussed some things that we wanted to bring up. And what we talked about was that our coach decided not to coach yesterday because he just felt like he was being forced into a situation that he didn't like. But we still want him to be our coach, and we believe that in the given scenario, the head coach should be given the priority, as he was hired by the district to be in the position that he was in. And he's been heavily invested in the program, in the growth of our team from early youth levels until now. For many of us who have seniors, he's coached us throughout years of our lives. A lot of us since we started playing soccer, and many people feel that our head coach is the reason why many of us still play today. And we just ask that this difference be resolved within the team and without outside intervention. But that for the time being, the head coach should be able to reobtain his position until the conflict is resolved. The team has deliberated and concluded that our head coach would be best suited to lead our team and get the best performance out of us. And we believe that our Coach should not have been forced into a situation which he had no say. And this isn't to say anything that we have any issue with our assistant coach. We love him and we want everybody to be involved, and we want both there. However, the position shouldn't be forced on any parties. And the entire situation has frankly hurt our team and could have been avoided if it had simply been left to be resolved between the head coach and assistant coach. And I believe that that resolution is still entirely possible and encouraged by all the members on our team. And we don't want to see more division. We simply want our team together and as one and a unit. But in the absence of such an agreement, we feel that the head coach should be able to retain his position, as he was the one given the trust of the district when he was hired. And the team's opinion should be the prevailing factor in this matter. And the belief of our team that we have talked about and discussed is that we want our head coach to maintain his position. And I'm not sure what all is possible as the board, what all actions are able to be taken, but we just ask that this be allowed to be resolved unofficially, and I think that that would be the best way for it to happen. And frankly, if the students' voices aren't heard and aren't taken into account, especially by the board, then I don't see much purpose in all of these organizations, because this is what we're here for. The students are the priority here, and I'm just expressing our desires. This isn't a personal thing. This was all the team, and I'm speaking for them. And that's our statement, and that's all I have for you.
Thank you. That concludes the people who've asked to speak to the board tonight. We come now to the agenda of the consent agenda. A motion, please, to approve the consent agenda. Tina and Travis. Discussion. The consent agenda goes through the bottom of page 3. Hearing no discussion, all in favor of approving the consent agenda? Motion is carried. We come now to number 5 on page 4. A motion, please, to appoint the volunteers listed. Linda and John. Discussion. Melanie, would you call the roll?
Lucinda?
Yes?
Tina?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Leslie?
Abstain, family member.
Travis?
Yes.
All passed.
Motion is carried. Number 2, a motion, please, to approve the co-curricular appointments. John and Leslie. Discussion. Melanie, would you call the roll?
Cinda?
Yes?
Tina?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Casey? Yes. Linda? Yes. Leslie?
Yes.
Travis?
I abstain. It's a family member.
Motion passed.
Motion is carried. If you'll turn now to your green sheet. A motion, please, to approve the authorization, appropriation, expenditures of the liability reserve. Motion. Casey and Tina. Discussion. All in favor? Motion is carried. We come now to the agenda, board member requests, comments, and discussion. Tina, are you going to address trunk or treat?
I can.
Okay, please do.
October 24th is Trunk or Treat. It's something, a community event that the board has participated in the last, I think, 4 years.
It's been a few
So we
years,
would
yeah.
like to propose that we, again, as long as Leslie's willing to be the creative force behind it.
Is she?
Oh, she is.
As long as Pinterest helps me out, I'm fine with doing that, yes.
So it's October 24th.
Board members,
Friday night here.
do I see a nod of heads or one way or the other?
Yeah,
Am
I'm,
I
I'm
seeing
definitely
trunk or
interested in
treat?
doing it again with you,
I'll think of
Leslie.
something really good for you to wear, Travis. Okay, we're gonna go.
Some,
Okay.
some helped,
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
see.
for those of you who haven't been here before, some help actually, you know, with passing out the candy or whatever, and we all kind of chip in for the cost of it. That's something just the board does. So yeah, I think you had a nod of consent on that.
Okay.
Is there anything else for board member comments, trunk or treat? Linda?
I just want to remind members about, well, I want to let you be informed that this Saturday, there's a Zoom meeting that, for the NISBA proposals, for the amendments, and also for the bylaws, and also the proposals that would be adopted at the very long meeting that they hold for that. And that way you can get more information about it. Actually, one of the proposals has been submitted by Newark, which is a area, but it's interesting. Some of the things really are there. I was pleased to see that there's more things that are involved with BOCES and BOCES programs than they've had before, which is good. But there are also more things that are involved that really would be beneficial to rural schools too than they've had before. The other thing is the Leadership Conference that's coming up on October 7th. Just a reminder of that.
Thank you, Linda. Is there anything else anyone else has? Then at this time, we do need to go back into executive session, this time to discuss a legal matter. A motion, please, to go into executive session. John and Leslie, any discussion? All in favor of going into executive session? Motion is carried. Just so you all know, we will be going into executive session, and when we return, we will be adjourning. We will not be doing any further business. So you're welcome to wait for adjournment, or you can feel you can leave and you won't miss anything. So thank you.